After a very big scare, here we are. Today is Friday, September 1st, 2017. You are watching MMA Junkie Radio. You're also listening to it, and you're also feeling it. Feeling it in your bones, feeling it in your muscles, feeling it in your fat, which is most of us. That's where I feel MMA Junkie Radio, right here in my gut, in my fat. I am Goz. With me, as always, is nobody but Danny on the phone. George was outside, wow, and then he disappeared. Dan Tom, when he hears us say the show is about to start, he just takes off. Danny's being a frazzled cat right now. I don't know what the hell he's saying in the background.
You're not live. That's what I'm trying to say.
What do you mean I'm not live? I'm looking at it.
I'm refreshing official MMA Junkie, and the video is not posting.
The first one shouldn't have posted. Ooh, Dan Tom, you're in a lot of trouble.
It's not coming up. I've refreshed it.
It's got to be coming up. Because it works now on this thing. You unchecked the output things. Well, hold on. I think we're good. Danny, are you sure?
Yeah, I refreshed the page. You're not live. Bring it up on one of your laptops in there.
All right, I'm trying.
Refreshed official MMA Junkie. 4 times now. 4? The last thing was live 1 hour ago. UFC Rotterdam.
Yeah. All right, let me stop this.
But I'd say probably 7 out of 10 times they still don't. They go, oh, I thought you were calling from Vegas.
What's up, everybody? Quick pre-show here. We'll be starting off with Abel Sanchez, trainer to Gennady Golovkin, also known as Triple G, who will be fighting Canelo Alvarez.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goz. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission.
Abel is there and ready.
Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goz.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goz, our ace co-host. Back east, handling all the producing duties, Danny Otto. Hovering around in and out of the camera will be Dan Tom, our latest addition, and we are starting off right away with our featured guest of the day. His name is Abel Sanchez. He is the head trainer for Gennady Golovkin, also known as Triple G. Triple G and Canelo Alvarez will be duking it out. That's right, folks. This is an MMA show, but I'm telling you, boxing's a big part of MMA, and at the same time, boxing's had quite a year, and these are two of the best boxers on the planet. I'm telling you, when we were talking about Mayweather and McGregor, and we kept falling back on, well, it's not Gennady Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez in terms of competition between two fighters. This is the fight we were talking about, and now we're a few weeks away from it taking place. Saturday, September 16th at the T-Mobile Arena. Joining us now is Abel Sanchez. Hello, Abel. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Thank you for doing the show. We really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. I've been seeing all the transcripts. You know, throughout this whole Mayweather-McGregor thing, we got added to a lot of the PR releases. And I'm telling you, you know, that fight, the numbers went through the roof. Boxing had a lot to do with it. So did mixed martial arts. But you know, we're still boxing fans. We grew up watching boxing even before MMA was a sport. So I don't want you to think that we don't know what the heck we're talking about. We know a little bit, Abel, not as much as you, but it's a pleasure to have you on. And tell me, you know, as you go down the home stretch, I guess are the practices still taking place in Big Bear, or at some point when do you come off that mountain?
No, absolutely. We have one more week here in Big Bear. I believe on Saturday we are attending the Chocolatito fight at the StubHub in Carson, California. Then Sunday he's throwing out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium. And we go home, we sleep, and Monday morning or Monday afternoon we take off for Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Wow. The first pitch. Have you ever done that, Abel?
I haven't. He's done it 4 times. This will be his 4th or 5th time doing it. He's done it the last, I think, the first time was about 3 years ago, I believe.
Does he throw strikes or balls?
You know, he threw it at the catcher. I don't think any of them didn't strike yet. The last one, Adrian Gonzalez was the catcher, and we're lucky that he was, because being a first baseman and being as big as he is, the ball was a little high and above Adrian's left shoulder. So I'm glad that he was it. But he's not a pitcher; he's a boxer.
What's Triple G like, I guess, when camp winds down, when it does turn the corner and it becomes fight week? Is he loose? Is he, you know, joking around, easy to be around, or is he more like the intense type that you just have to leave him be until fight day?
No, he's intense when he steps through the ropes for sparring, for a fight. Other than that, he's a jovial guy. He's very, very happy with his life. In fact, we had sparring yesterday with 5 fellas that we have in the gym now, and after the sparring, they're all joking, they're all having fun. It's work, but it's work that we truly enjoy and he enjoys. So he loves having a good time. But when it's business, it's business, and when it's sparring, it's business. When it's a fight, it's business. He'll get a little more serious when I start wrapping his hands in the dressing room. But before that, he'll be okay. Of course, he's focused and centered, but he's having a good time.
I know you guys are, you know, you've been together for a while now, but when there is a camp, and from what I read, I believe July 1st is when camp started. Is every day good between you and him, or do you ever have days where you just have to walk away from each other? Like, you know, do you ever butt heads, or is it always pretty smooth between coach and athlete?
You know, I've been blessed with this young man since the first day I got him, and I said to him that if he gave me 3 years, I could make him into this superstar. And to this day, 7 years later, there's never been a day where he says, "I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Coach, you're wrong." Not a day. And if you talk to any of the sparring partners that have been with us, they'll tell you the same thing. He's a student and I'm the teacher. He follows directions. They don't know what they're doing tomorrow. They don't know what we're going to do this morning until I got there. I lead in a way that I don't tell them what they're doing ahead of time. I tell them exactly at that moment what they're going to do, how many rounds he's going to spar, who he's going to spar with, and he has never questioned one thing. There's never been a crossword between us. In fact, there's been situations where some of the other fighters weren't doing what they were told, and I could see in their language, in the Russian language, him getting on them for not doing exactly what the coach is asking them to do. Little things, but still, he's the leader in my gym, and I'm fortunate to have it.
There you go. It almost sounds like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. You know, Abel's the coach. He sets the standard. He sets the rules. And then when you have the leader like Tom Brady, how can the rest not follow? And, folks, this is Abel Sanchez, the head trainer for Gennady Golovkin, also known as Triple G, who fights Canelo Alvarez at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas Saturday, September 16th. By the way, we're in Vegas. The odds are Gennady Golovkin minus 150, Canelo Alvarez plus 120. Had to throw that out there. Abel is a 6-time winner of Trainer of the Year from the Boxing Writers of America Association, and he's also guided 16 world champions underneath his tutelage. All right, Goes, what do you have for Abel Sanchez?
Abel, this is a huge fight in our lifetime, and I want to know, how was this fight made when other fights have failed of this type of magnitude? We saw how long it took to get Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather in a ring together. Did you feel like it was the promoters? Was it the fighters? Was it the trainers? Who brought this thing all together and made it happen so quickly like this?
To be honest with you, I think us as coaches and the fighters, sometimes we want things before they're ready to happen. And this fight has been talked about for 2 years. But I think the promoters are the guys really that are guiding the ship, and they're the ones that have the pulse of the crowd and the fans. And I think that they felt, Oscar and Tom felt that it needed time to marinate. And I hate to admit it, but I believe they were right. Now looking back at it, I believe they were right. I think if this fight would have happened 2 years ago, it wouldn't have the impact that it's going to have on boxing itself as it is going to have now, especially after being disappointed by the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. I think fight fans are ready to have a great fight, and I believe the promoters had the right idea on delaying it till it was the right time.
You know, Canelo is the smaller guy. He's moving up. Where would you say Canelo Alvarez ranks on the list of opponents for Triple G? Is he going to be the toughest test he's had to date?
You know, I've said it in the past that Canelo's moving up only because Golovkin is still there. If Golovkin had moved up to 68, Canelo would have been a middleweight 2 years ago. He's struggled to make the 55-pound limit that he set for himself. You could see he was struggling. He was saying to himself that he was struggling. So I don't think it's so much of a move that he's going to be probably bigger than Golovkin on fight night. So he's a big guy. He may be short in stature, but he's a solid guy. I think that Canelo is probably one of the top three guys that we faced. I believe Danny was one of them. Lemieux and Stevens were probably the toughest fights that we've had so far, and Canelo's up there with them.
Where do you feel like a win for Triple G will put him on that all-time middleweight list?
I've been saying for a long time that he hasn't gotten the recognition for his accomplishments that I think he merits. The knockout ratio in all-time middleweights, the defenses, not only defenses but by knockout defenses of whomever was next. I think that a win will solidify his standing, but I think wins after that will be where he will be placed amongst those greats of the past.
You know, speaking of those greats in the past, I know you've solved a lot of puzzles, but is there ever one where you can look back, one of those greats from the past, and go, man, that would have been a great matchup for Triple G? Could you give me that name, who you think that would have been a great matchup for?
I'd love to see him fight Marvin Hagler. In Marvin in his prime. I think Triple G is a bigger middleweight in today's times. Marvin was a big middleweight in those times, but I think in his prime, Marvin Hagler was a heck of a fighter. I would have loved to see that fight.
Abel's not playing around either. Triple G's 37-0 with 33 KOs. That's a very, very high finishing rate. I've seen him dominate fights and still go after the KO in rounds 10, 11, and 12. He's a really, really fun fighter to watch, Abel. And talk about that. Why is it that I guess some fighters like to cruise to the finish line and others just want that finish? It's something, is that the difference between a boxer and a fighter, like they say?
As a coach, I've always been the type of coach that I'm a fan also of the sport, and I want to see fights that are entertaining. I train my guys, and I speak to my guys when I'm training them and beginning their careers with me, that we have to be the kind of fighter that people want to buy tickets to go see. It doesn't do any good for us to be great, but nobody wants to buy a ticket. That doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So I had that talk with Golovkin when I first started working with him. I had to explain to him that I had to make him attractive to the American market, to the fans that pay good money to see us fight, to see us perform. And if you look at all the fighters that I've ever worked with, they all come forward, they all throw punches, they all are going to be fan friendly, they're all going to be TV friendly. So it was important for me, for Golovkin to understand that, and he has to this point, and he tries to make the best fight possible with what he's got in front of him, so that the fans enjoy themselves and the fans go away wanting to come back and see him again.
What can you tell me? It was interesting watching 24/7, and they focused on him and his twin brother and their first coach in Kazakhstan. What can you tell me? Do they prep their fighters well in Kazakhstan? Did he come over with great habits, or did you have to retool the guy a little bit when he came to you?
No, I think all you have to do is go back and look at the last 3 or 4 Olympics. The Kazakhstani team has had gold medalists and silver medalists in those Olympics. And why? Because they have a great foundation. They have a great amateur program. They don't have a pro program. They don't do pro fights in Kazakhstan. So their amateur program is second to none. In the world boxing, that 5-round fight that they were having, that program that they were having, I believe they won it the last couple of years. So they have a good system. So when Gennady came to me with 350 amateur fights and that great foundation. So the Kazakhs prepared him for this moment in his life. The Kazakh system, I should say, prepared him for this moment in his life. And I was able to modify and tool a little bit and polish what they sent me. And the best part about it is Golovkin was willing to do whatever it is that I asked him to do here to mold him and change him so that the American market would embrace him. And I think that system back there gave me the opportunity to be in this position.
Abel, I want to be respectful of your time. I know it's a busy couple weeks here. We just have a couple more questions. If you're good on time, please let us know.
I'm good on time.
Okay,
yes,
just making sure. Folks, this is Abel Sanchez, trainer to Gennady Golovkin. Again, Trainer of the Year award 6 times went to this gentleman from the Boxing Writers of American Association. And he's also guided to victory, 16 world champions. Very impressive resume. Tell us something here. Do you think, there's talking about 6.5 million pay-per-views between Mayweather and McGregor. Do you think that's a good carryover going into your show? Others saw that, wow, well, maybe some people don't have the budget to pay for both. Others are saying that maybe some of that carryover can benefit, you guys.
Well, I believe the UFC fans really had in mind McGregor upsetting Mayweather, but it's difficult to transition from one sport to another sport and be 100% like the UFC guy and the fighter. But I imagine if Mayweather went the other way, it would be the same outcome, only reversed. So the fact that they tuned in is important, I think, for all sports, that at least the fans are attentive and the fans are willing to pay to see their stars or their heroes perform.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does carry over to the 16th fight. The 16th fight is a fight amongst the 2 best middleweights in the world, probably 2 of the best fighters in the world.
Right.
And in their records and their styles are going to clash and going to mesh so well that I think it's going to be one of those throwback fights to when Tiger, Leonard, Hearns, and Duran were fighting back in the 80s.
Oh, I love it.
Everything points to that. I hope so.
Yeah, no, I think there is going to be a carryover. When UFC had their 100th show in 2009, they did like 1.6 million pay-per-views. And granted, Brock Lesnar was around and he was always a draw. But that one went through the roof. But the next 2 shows after that had close to 1 million pay-per-views each one. And they weren't anything special. They didn't have Brock. One of them did have Anderson Silva. The other one had Randy Couture. But neither one of those guys was really $1 million draws. And again, I think it was kind of like a carryover, a trickle effect. So I think this one will do good because regardless of whether you were a fan of that fight or not, this fight kept getting pointed to as far as like, well, we're still, we're in the run of some great fights with Lomachenko. Lomachenko fought, Crawford fought, but Kovalev and Ward, Joshua and Klitschko, it's really, really been a great resurgence for boxing. So I'm confident those numbers will come in.
I think that was the appetizer because people were talking about it. Hopefully, boxing or combat sports is still on the forefront of their mind, and they buy the fight. But they're going to be treated to a great fight once they do.
And the last question here is, I've really been anxious to ask somebody like yourself because obviously you're a student, you're scientific in your approach, with the tactics to boxing. You see things most people don't. And I feel like former fighters, current fighters, they had their allegiances, and so they were giving, I don't know if they were giving the most genuine answers about McGregor, and then same thing with fans. Again, they're just fanatical towards someone or against someone. But if you could just step away from all that and tell us, as a trainer, how impressed were you with McGregor? Was he better than you thought? Was he about what you thought? Was he worse? And when people say, "Oh man, he could box again," is that just again fluff? For the fact that he's just one hell of a draw, but instead not really a good boxer. What can you tell us?
I think first of all, I didn't watch the fight. I went to the Cotto fight, but I was more focused on what we're doing here than than that. That really doesn't affect us because it's the different weights. So I try not to watch things that are not relevant to what my guys are doing, unless it becomes relevant. But from what I've read, I guess he's done better than people expected. But the important thing is that people bought it, and people are interested, and we heard about it on every channel. We read about it on every paper. The fact that happened, and I really, I want to say this. I really appreciate the fact that after the fight, McGregor recognized the guy was superior for this fight. Doesn't mean that he's going to be superior for the next fight. Guys lose fights. It's just part of the business. But the fact that he didn't come out bad mouthing and being an idiot like he was prior to the fight it showed good character, in my opinion. He understood the difference. I think he understood. Now, like I said, if you change sports, obviously McGregor is the top dog in that sport, so Mayweather doesn't stand a chance. Just like the prior boxers. Who was it? James Toney, I think, tried it one time, and there was another one that tried it.
Ray Mercer actually came over.
Miserably. Oh, Ray Mercer? Okay.
Yeah.
Failed miserably. Why? Because it's a different sport.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, Tony failed miserably, but Mercer came over and in like 10 seconds knocked out a former UFC champ. But it's because the guy elected to stand with him instead of taking Mercer off his feet. But, I know exactly what you're saying. If a fight plays out, usually the boxer will lose in MMA and vice versa. Abel, we really appreciate this. This was really, really cool to introduce our fans and listeners to the lot of the boxing people that we had to cover because of this other event. And like I say, I've loved the carryover, and people have become boxing fans in the last 2 months. So thank you for doing the interview. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on. Hopefully these combat sport fans continue to support, and we promise to give them the kind of fight that they expect.
Awesome. Thanks for the time, and we will see you in Vegas on the 16th.
Thank you very much. We'll see you there.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
All right, folks. That is Abel Sanchez, the head trainer for Gennady Golovkin. Remember, this is a pay-per-view, HBO pay-per-view. So you will have to fork out some dough, but high-level boxing between high-level boxers. Both guys have worn Strapskos before, and this is a title fight. So again, I'm kind of doing boxing 101 here, but 12 rounds, 10-ounce gloves, undefeated Golovkin at 37-0 with 33 KOs, and then Canelo Alvarez 49-1-1. That only loss coming to Floyd Mayweather. So between them, about 80, almost 90 wins, and only one loss and one draw. High level.
When you break down the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight, there's really only one way of breaking it down on both sides, right? We said Floyd is going to take his time, pick his shots, wear them out. Conor, he's basically going to go for broke. When you break down Triple G and Canelo, there's about 10 different avenues you can go each way. Because a lot of adjustments are going to be made in that fight. That's the difference between the fight you guys saw a couple weekends ago and what you're going to see today, or on the 16th. A lot of adjustments will be made during the fight. So it's going to be very tactical, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think that's what separates it. This is a real fight.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm hoping to get to the fight. Once again, I'm starting to see some dangled carrots out there.
Are you?
Yeah, believe it or not. And if Sportscaster will have us back, I'd love to do what we did for Mayweather-McGregor. That was a ton of fun as well. You know what? I think we needed this year of boxing. Joshua and Klitschko. I've seen Joshua win the gold medal at the 2012 Olympics. And Klitschko, who wasn't the most fan-friendly style, I became a bigger fan of his just watching him because just him and his brother are incredible. They went to medicine school and grew up to be world champion boxers, the two of them. Now you have, one of them involved in politics. The other one is, dating Hayden Panettiere. So a little bit of that crossover, into pop culture. But more than anything, our good friend Stitch Duran involved in their careers. So it made me want to watch them more. And, of course, that fight was something else. Even though Klitschko lost, it was one of his best fights ever. Kovalev and Ward, again, there was the Stitch effect, but it was at Mandalay Bay. And then those fights just started trickling over. Lomachenko Crawford. I keep forgetting about Chocolatito, who just had his first loss.
Yeah.
But earlier this year, he was the #1 pound-for-pound guy. So, you know, I guess what I'm saying is I'm really, really starting to dive a little bit more deep in the deeper waters of boxing.
Yeah, it's been a good year for them, definitely. And MMA, it's kind of weird. Like, I was thinking more and more about what you were saying the other day, where maybe it wasn't the greatest year. It depends on whether or not you
For
count
what?
For MMA.
Uh-huh.
How you count the Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor card.
Right.
If you count that towards MMA, then yeah, I'd say it was a pretty decent year. But if you take that away and you compare it to what went on in boxing and how different divisions shined, it'd be tough to tackle.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, as far as like big year, again, I'm usually talking pay-per-views. There's the whole other conversation where we can talk website traffic and things like that, or just the shakeup. You know, new stars are born. But usually I'm pointing towards pay-per-views. And again, that money don't go in our pocket. So 2016 will be tough to top. 2017 has had ups, it's had downs. But regardless, I feel like it's really hard to ever have a bad year in MMA. There's always new storylines. There's always incredible news that comes out of it. And again, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
How long do you remember them, though? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like Daniel Cormier, we haven't said that name in a while, right?
I
That's
know.
one of the best fighters on the planet. But his storyline was
sucked.
erased by
That
a
one
lot of
sucked.
stuff, right?
Yeah. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about these odds. Plus, we'll also talk about UFC Rotterdam. Dan will talk about it. He's did a breakdown as well, and we definitely at least want to cover a couple fights from that fight card, which is headlined by Stefan Struve and Alexander Volkov. It's UFC Fight Night 115 this weekend, and Junkie's got you covered. We'll be right back.
you. Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
I'll let this one play out a little bit. This is Belle Biv DeVoe, right?
It's Block Friday, so I picked one, Danny picked one. I picked Belle Biv DeVoe, he picked White.
This is Poison.
This is my favorite Belle Biv DeVoe song.
This is?
Yeah.
Sing along, Danny. Let there, hit it.
Wow, he sounds just like him.
I know, right?
Can you hit those notes, Danny?
No way. These guys are better singers than me for sure.
All right, folks, here we go. It's the second hour. Oh, no, we're just back. Wow. It's not the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We're coming back from commercial, for crying out loud. All right, thrown off here a little bit. Want to thank Fred from HBO for lining up that Abel Sanchez interview. And we are still working on Triple G at some point. And if you'll recall, we are here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday only next week. Goes and I and Dan will be going to JBLE Joint Base Langley Eustis in Virginia. And we'll be going with Misha Tate, Paul Felder, Stitch Duran, and Colby Covington. So we'll be doing a morale visit of the troops out there, the soldiers and the airmen of Fort Eustis and Langley Air Base. After that, we're doing a vacation, and we'll be back on September 21st. So there's a few things to cover before we leave, and one thing I wanted to touch on for sure is Alexander Volkov versus Stefan Struve. We are all treading lightly around it in terms of, it's just a fight. It's just the Rotterdam card, no big deal. But like I pointed out earlier this week, with Barnett, Rothwell, now JDS, kind of having their troubles, with Roy Nelson and Frank Mir moving over to Bellator, with Andrei Arlovsky having the 4-fight losing streak. What was once a really, and Travis Brown obviously also having more losses than wins lately. What was really a nice padded heavyweight division isn't any longer. And so guys like Ngannou and Derek Lewis was at Legacy about 3 years ago. And of course he's an active fighter. Ngannou's just blasting through people. Curtis Blades is also on that wave coming up. Well, these two, Volkov and Struve, they may have something to say about these title fights that are going to be coming up when Stipe eventually comes to terms with the UFC.
It's not just the guys that have left. It's the guys that are still around as well. Like, look at Cain Velasquez. Even if he signs the dotted line, do we all have 100% trust?
It's hard to get fired up about him.
Yeah, it's hard to get fired up about him, right? And you got Stipe's not really happy with his contract. Derek Lewis doesn't know if he wants to fight or not. And one day he's in, one day he's out. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in that heavyweight division.
I will say this. Cain mopped up Travis Brown at UFC 200 last year. And I thought, I fell in love with Cain again. Like I was really a big Cain fan. He gave me a great memory versus Brock Lesnar in Anaheim. I mean, that was a great fight. It only went one round, but two big dudes just throwing each other around like that. And the crowd, like, it's just one of those fights where people go, name some great fights. That's usually in my top 10. And so, along the way, yeah, he's got a style where once in a while there's just fights where you're like, But, him and Congo, I remember, tested each other pretty good. I think that fight was in Germany. He had the knockout of Nogueira in Australia, the Lesnar knockout, the domination of JDS. So he definitely has given us some moments. Then this Travis Brown fight, I mean, he looked like a new fighter. And all of a sudden, these health issues again is such a disappointment. When I heard rumors of Verdum and Cain in October, and this was like earlier this year, like April, I was excited even though there was that layoff. But now with no Cain in sight, I'm starting to forget about him. I really am thinking about these new guys. But what do you think about Struve and Volkov, Danton?
I mean, it's tough to get excited for, to be honest. We come off this drought, and we should be salivating for MMA, but it's not exactly the sexiest of matchups, even with the two tallest guys in the heavyweight division. But at the same time, there's a lot to like about Volkov. It's hard to say that there's a dark horse in the heavyweight division when it's really not that big. It doesn't really say too much, but Volkov is one of those dark horses, and he is, albeit a slight favorite, a deserved favorite. But yeah, I think a lot of people are soured on Struve, like you guys were saying, because a lot of performances there. But there's a lot of things, intangibles. There's a camp change, him moving to the U.S., the heart condition, injuries, physical injuries from jaw to other, personal stuff, losing a father. Like, he had all these check boxes that fighters maybe will have sprinkled throughout their career. He kind of got all those check boxes at one time. So when I see people kind of, it's fair to a certain extent, but when I see people criticizing kind of Struve's recent performances, I'm like, wow, I think we forget, how young he is, how, his skill sets and this and that, because I think we've had some weird performances, and, he hasn't been performing all that much. So he's not in the lexicon as recently. So it's a really good opportunity for both guys to kind of remind the fans why they need to get excited, the new talent coming up, and hopefully they do that because they have the stage to do so.
That's my issue with this matchup is I look at two guys that are fighting to stay relevant, to tell people we're still around. But that's not what I want. I want two guys that make a statement that lets us know I'm a guy that could take out the champion. That's what I want to see out of those two guys.
Yeah, 100%. And
who do you guys like on Saturday?
Well, like you guys said earlier, Struve's scoreboard over Stipe Miocic, and that's who I have. That's who I like. I think he gets it done inside the distance there within the 5 rounds. I think he creates a scramble. He has the submission and ground advantage in this fight, and could surprise people with the striking. I mean, he kind of gets criticized. He doesn't really have his jab or use his jab as often, but he's got a real mean uppercut when he's feeling in stride, and that's a shot that Volkov's had trouble with. Roy Nelson, Tim Johnson almost finished him with that shot, and then going back, he's actually been caught with uppercuts. Going back watching his M1 fights and regional fights. So.
Right. When Volkov's won fights, it's not because he steamrolled the opponent. He's taken damage along the way too.
Yeah.
So he's good at making adjustments, but yeah, along the way, if you fight someone that's a little less forgiving, it could be the end. I picked Struve as well. Struve is, I think, now realizing the tools that he has at his disposal and using them a lot better than he used to, because not only just the jab, but the front kick could be such a weapon for him.
Right.
He's fighting a guy that's 4 inches shorter, but still 6'7" himself. So, he's got the ability to cover a lot of ground. But I'm riding with Stefan on this one as well. Volkov, I'm showing -135 as of when they printed this one. I know I sent you guys some odds from some of the different houses across Costa Rica as well. But I really thought I thought Struve was just the better fighter. And at home, I thought they would just bet him more. So I don't know if it's been his outside the cage troubles that he's had, his trials and tribulations, that just have people not having as much confidence in him.
Yeah.
Now I feel like Volkov has some decent tools, but he's not explosive. And I feel like Stefan can be explosive in this fight. I think he should go forward and really make a statement in this fight. A flying knee. Get him in the plum and just knee the hell out of him. Do something that makes us all want to see him face the champion. Make him relevant.
Yeah, and he doesn't have much work to do because he's beaten the champ. So win at home, climb on the fence, talk a little bit of trash, say something. Exactly. And then maybe position yourself in that little foursome that involves Verdum and Lewis and Ngannou, and make yourself the 4th piece of that pie to end the year. And then maybe in 2018 is when you, because Stipe will have to face someone else along the way. So these others can kind of have like some sort of a semifinal while that gets sorted out. Overeem seems to have a path. Kane, when healthy, seems to have a path. But then after that, who knows? Who knows what can come out of it? So this can be very, very huge for Stefan Struve. But his life could change in the next 9 months. But he needs a couple wins, and a couple good wins I think gets him there a lot sooner than some of the other guys. Verdum's gonna have a longer road. He lost 2 out of 3 to Overeem overall, and he's lost a couple fights lately. And Ngannou, the trajectory is definitely upward for him, but the minute he gets checked, we'll all go, oh, okay, well, he hadn't fought that style of a fighter yet. So let him reset, and then he'll need a few more fights to get in the mix, and that's where Struve can maybe get in there.
When it comes to promotion of a fight, you can get away with saying a lot of shit that's just not going to happen, right? What I would do if I'm Stefan Struve and I win that fight, I go, hey, Ngannou, next week you need an opponent, right? I'm your boy. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. They ain't going to make it happen. But do the fans know that? No. They just see a big giant call out another guy.
Right.
I think it would be good for him.
I agree. The co-main event, they did a little bit of a patchwork job there. Geraint Durandamy was going to fight Marion Renault. Durandamy is now... Has that been promoted?
No, they just did a recent shuffle. Like literally in the last 24 hours, they at least posted on UFC.com, who has been kind of off, and all the outlets, it's been like misinformation just for this card. Everyone's at different cards listed. They finally got the thing together. It's 7 fights on the prelims, not 8 people, all on Fight Pass, and the co-main event that was originally Marion Renault, Geraint Durandamy, Geraint Durandamy out from hand injury, but was listed as the co-main event, actually got bumped down. Now the co-main event, local flavor CR Bahadurzada is going to be facing Rob Wilkinson. Other than that, everything else is the same, but just wanted to get that clear because there was a lot of confusion. It only changed within the last 24.
Talita de Oliveira stepping in for Germaine Durandamy, and she'll be facing Marion Renault, is what I was going to say. Rob Wilkinson versus CR Bahadurzada. And yes, Bahadurzada has actually lived in Holland. Comes from Afghanistan. We got to meet him in studio. What was that, about 6-7 years ago, guys? When he would tell us about war and everything he's witnessed?
You know,
remember
we were
that one?
Still in our old studio.
Yeah.
But I think we might have got him one time since the new studio.
Oh, via phone, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know once in
he
studio, he really opened up to us. And it had to do around the time when Miller and Bisping coached. So whenever that happened, CR, I think, was on Miller's coaching staff. And so he came in, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy himself. But, yeah, that's actually, he is a hometown guy there fighting in the Netherlands.
It was a top 5 interview. Sorry, top 5 interview of my personal opinion of just listening to your guys' show for so long. That in studio by CR, one of the most memorable interviews. That was awesome. I really enjoyed that, guys.
Minus
I was kind of intimidated that day. Because, I mean, dude's nickname is the Killer, right? I mean, and he comes in and he's got this look like he just doesn't want to joke around. But it only took about 10 or 15 minutes, and he opened up. And when he did, he let us in a lot on his personal life. And I really became a big fan. But if you look at that interview, man, he hasn't had very many fights since that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Leon Edwards versus Brian Barberina. I was this close to taking Barberina. And really, there was going to be no logic on it other than he just seems to pull off these upsets. He's tough. He's with a good camp. He's not intimidated by odds or being the underdog, anything like that. He just likes to go in there and scrap, and he seems like he'll give you everything he has. I don't want to say limited, but other fighters just have a grander striking arsenal, but he's got a lot of heart, and so he'll throw everything he has. He'll throw it hard. He's well coached. And then on the ground, obviously, same thing. You know, it's like he's a scrappy guy.
All right. But isn't Leon Edwards the same guy that we're talking about? He's not that good. He's going to run into a guy who's better. He's kind of done nothing but make us feel the same way, right?
Well, that's why I said almost. Now, we still have about 24 hours before the fight happens. And you know me, find me an underdog in my parlay, and I get a little bit more excited because the payoff's a little better. Struve is starting to shape up as an underdog that, you know, his number could go up slightly. I'm hearing others taking Talita de Oliveira, so I don't know. I might have to do a little bit of research there. I don't know if Dan has or not, just to see what it is they're looking at. Renault can look great at times, and then there's other times where you feel like her best days are past her. And then as far as Barberina and Edwards, I took Edwards, but I gave Barberina a good look, and I still wouldn't mind hearing from some of the other sharps like Dan.
Well, two things before I get to Edwards Barberina, which in my opinion is the fight of the night, the one I'm looking forward to most.
I agree.
I do have an opinion on Talita de Oliveira, Bernardo, as their last name is. You know, the Brazilians that kind of have the couple nicknames, the last names there. But if you guys want to learn more about that, actually just keep it tuned to MMAJunkie.com, because as we announced here with me coming on, so are my breakdowns.
Eastern, right?
That's right. Yep. Should be dropping very shortly. So make sure you're keeping posted for that and other news there. Anything we missed, I'll give you the nitty gritty there. That's where you can find it. But yeah, Brian Barberina, I share your sentiment, Gigi. He is a live dog. I was this close to picking him. People have been following my work. They know I'm a huge Bam Bam fan. Was one of the only few to officially pick him for both against Warley Alves and against Sage Northcutt. Which hindsight, we're like, Sage Northcutt, of course you picked. Like, no, nobody was picking him against Sage. He was like a 6 or 8 day short replacement notice. You know, he is that quintessential live dog you're talking about, Gigi. Leon Edwards, I think we've underrated him, but I don't think he's quite that same live dog. I'm picking him here. He's really talented. Leon Edwards reminds me of like an English Eve Edwards. Maybe this is the same last name or what it is, but they're both technical southpaws, very competent everywhere. Leon Edwards really improved his wrestling game since getting to the UFC. He's one of the more better English wrestlers. You know, he's underrated in that aspect. So it's going to be a close competitive fight. Even though the pick's Edwards, I'm staying away from it. If you're a gambler, I don't hate you for throwing a little sprinkle in Barberina, or maybe you want to do one parlay that's fun with a big dog like Gigi's talking about. You know, Barberina could be that guy, but for me, I'm with Gigi. My official dog and official pick is Struve there as far as dogs go. But Barberina's live, man. He's live.
And what about Wilkinson CR? Oh, whoa! Did you almost fall over there?
Almost.
Do you like that fight, or do you think that's more like because Bahardizada is Dutch? But with the layoff, you're just not sure what you're going to get.
This is a scary fight.
Because he can make the fight exciting because his style is exciting. He's a little reckless at times, you know, but obviously violent.
100%. Well, the reason why Rob Wilkinson's live, a lot of people are going to underrate him, like, oh, he's a short notice replacement. Some, he was fighting on, regional Australian circuits coming in last minute, or whatever stereotypes you want to apply to a short notice stand-in. But watching footage on Rob Wilkinson, he's really live here. On paper, he kind of presents the matchup that's going to be tough for CR, a much bigger guy, because Wilkinson is big for middleweight and CR is small for welterweight. This fight's happening at middleweight, people. So, and not only that, we've seen CR have trouble when he's on bottom.
It's happening at middleweight?
Yeah, he's moved up to middleweight. His original opponent was set for middleweight too, which tells me that this was a conscious decision from CR. It wasn't like something like he was taking.
I've never looked at CR and felt like he's a middleweight of any kind.
Yeah, and he's not even that big of
not even a small middleweight, right? Not
kind of like Jake Ellenberger's size, right? He's
pretty much, yeah.
That
but Jake's kind of like jacked, and I felt like CR. Hell, there was times where I wondered if CR could get to 55.
Same here.
Now in this new wave of weight cutting, let's look after the athletes. I kind of leave that comment to myself, that opinion to myself, because it's not me that's sitting in that sauna. But I will say for sure, I feel like he's a welterweight and not a middleweight. So thank you for pointing that out. I'll have to take a look and see. That's a concern.
Well, the size, especially concerned because it's a styles match as well. Not just a size difference, but the size difference will contribute itself to the styles match. Whereas Rob Wilkinson, top-heavy grappler, a smothering guy. That's the kind of guy like a CR, a knockout artist, kind of counter-punching guy. He doesn't want to face those guys, especially if he's going to have huge size on him. So I think that CR is going to have some early scares, but he showed improved wrestling, albeit limited sample size. We've seen him, fight once in the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
But it's
3 years before that.
But his last time out against Brandon Thatch, who's not the best wrestler, granted, but CR showed real improvements from working with Jacksons to working in South Florida. I mean, he makes his rounds still around the states. So if CR can avoid that trouble early, I think he can find the knockout shot here. But I'd avoid it. The odds makers are clearly respecting it because Wilkinson's only a plus 120 dog. Usually you see that a bigger line when a guy's coming in last minute.
Right. All right, folks, let's take a break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We'll come back. Let's see if we can fill up a couple slots for this Canelo and Triple G signed glove. We're doing a giveaway, and we have 20+ spots for a contest, which will be decided on Fight Night. Canelo round 1, Triple G round 1, all the way down to 12. The decision, the draw, it's all up for grabs. Only one spot's been taken by Tony from San Francisco. Jim from Long Beach, we're awaiting your call. You can fill in your spot as well. The others will just be part of a complicated pool. We're probably making this a lot tougher than we should have. But either way, we're having fun with it. I know you all will have fun with it. 866-522-2846.
compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Man, I can't believe Rock would say that shit about Dan and George, but whatever. We're back. MMA Junkie Radio. Take it away, George.
Yeah, I have a problem with. I might have a problem with Rock if he keeps it up. I always feel like he's looking at me when there's something about tapping that rather large fella, or I could keep looking at my left or right, seeing if somebody's gonna tap me on the shoulder. In the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey, the American Red Cross is helping people affected in Texas and across the Gulf Coast. Shelters are open. Truckloads of supplies are being distributed and volunteers are in place. If you'd like to help, please visit redcross.org. Call 1-800-RED-CROSS or text Harvey to 90999 to make a donation of $10. Message and data rates may apply. Driving in, I saw this also featured. I was listening to First Wave on Channel 33, and they have the same type of info there, 1-800-RED-CROSS. So across all SiriusXM, all the platforms, all the shows are definitely promoting this. And I was watching a little bit of the news. I was just talking to a listener, Kevin from Houston, who I just met outside. The worst may yet to be to come.
Yeah.
And his family, thankfully, safe, but his house did have some flooding, and so this is really, really touching a lot of people that we know, including Derek Lewis and some of our Houston-based listeners. So this is really, really, quite a devastating tragedy that our country's incurred.
If you watch Dana White's Contender Series this week, Dan and I were there. It's usually Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard. It was just Dana White and Sean Shelby because Mick's from Houston. He wasn't able to get here. So a lot of people have been impacted. It's so weird though, because we have a family member that's pretty close to that area, and she hasn't even seen one raindrop. But she said 20 minutes from where she lives is like where the disaster area is. So It's so weird, man. But I feel so bad for those people.
The second hour is wide open for you, Junkie Nation. 866-522-2846. We'll start things off with some local flavor. David from Santa Ana. Dan in Oregon's also on hold. We'd love to hear your name pop up on the queue. See your name pop up on the queue is what I meant to say. 866-522-2846. And we're going to start to fill in some spots a little bit more aggressively on that board so that we can give out this glove, courtesy of HBO, signed by Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. They fight on September 16th, and the result of their fight will determine the winner of the glove. So it'll have nothing to do with first call, answering trivia questions, none of that. We'll let the fight itself play out. All right, folks, we'll be right back after this sports update. Stay close. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on a Friday.
All you need is strong heart and a nerve of steel. Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas with your neon flashing.
Jump, baby. Kind of sound like Towie.
All right, folks. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Let's give some love to our callers first, then we'll kind of touch on some of that news that's been floating out there, including, I don't know if we really officially reacted to the Tough episode 1. I finally saw the whole episode. The night of, I only saw the fight, just because my Wednesdays are busy. Snowfall's in the house and a couple other shows. But I did get to see the Happy Warrior.
Franklin could use some time in the house. So he needs to toughen up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. The Happy Warrior did some work. I can't believe that she's ranked #1, but man, she really looked good. So I'm happy for the Happy Warrior. It's so easy to pick on her because, you know, even she'll say it, you know, she's nerdy or whatever, and her skills were just limited early on. The record wasn't impressive going forward, but what an incredible turnaround. So much that the matchmakers made her, and this is the first ever UFC flyweight champ will come out of that. They made her the #1 seed. You know, Barb Honchak coming in at #2, who I believe has the skills to take this down. But regardless, we'll kind of dive into that in just a bit.
I was just going to say, you know, give a lot of credit to John Wood. That's her coach. And John has been there every step of the way with her and has really transformed her game mentally and physically. So a lot of props go to that team, Syndicate.
David from Santa Ana, Cali. What's up, David? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
Not much.
So before a couple of questions, just a side comment real quick. I haven't really been following boxing since I've been an MMA fan the last 10 years. However, I can appreciate a big fight when I see one. And I'm already talking to my boys about hosting a Triple G Canelo fight at my house.
Very cool.
Pretty excited about that fight.
All right, yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, but my first question is, so you guys talked about the heavyweights in the UFC earlier. So I noticed that I think Coker said by the end of this year, they're planning to crown the heavyweight champion over at Bellator. So looking at their roster, who do you guys think are the two guys that are going to fight for the championship when he gets crowned?
They just did.
It's a great question.
And Fedor Emelianenko.
Right. Well, but wait, yeah, I mean that actually was a pretty good time to do it.
Why didn't they? Yeah.
Right. So, I
really think I think Matt
that thing's dragged on, right?
It has, man, and it would be okay if we saw something behind the clouds, right? That we said, man, if they just pull this one thing, then it will all be worth it. What is that one thing?
And Sergey got upset by Ayala, and now Javi Ayala fights Roy Nelson coming up. Frank Mir signed, but he hasn't, officially gone over and won't fight for them until the 2 years is up with USADA. So there's just, Bobby Lashley's actually looked pretty good in some of his fights, and he just can't get any type of frequency. King Mo and Rampage, they're weighing in as heavyweights, so I don't know whether to count them or pull them back and throw them into 205. It really is confusing times out there. Minakov is legit, but they can't seem to arrive at any sort of resolution with him, going so far as to stripping him. A while back, they lost Volkov because Volkov was with them. So I wish I had an answer for you. Goes nailed it. That could have been it. But now let's just figure out an answer to give you. I think Mitrione's one of them. Okay. And maybe Nelson if he wins, and let's just run it back. Hey, he took him out at the house. I think it was season 10. Let's run it back with these two. Nelson does have some, a little bit of star power. He's popular, obviously. He's beaten Mitrione. Let's just get these two and get the damn thing going, I guess.
A little tournament, though, if you want to have a little flair, why not take a guy from Ryzen, send Heath Hearing over? I think that'd be fun.
I would, Goes. I love Heath Hearing, but he lost 2. If he was maybe 1-1.
It's a tournament, and Bellator does that type of stuff.
I suppose. But let's make it a 4-man tournament, because 8 now means we're not crowning anyone until the end of 2018. And I mean, I would really like for them to just have somebody. Look at their champions. Sorry, David, to hijack your call, but heavyweight, they don't have one. Light heavyweight, they have Bader. All right, cool, solid. Middleweight, Carvalho. Nobody knows much about him, and he's not. That division doesn't have much going on. Welterweight. All right, now we're talking. They have some fighters there, and they can have some fun there. I'd have the tournament if they want, but everything appears towards Roy versus Lima. And now they have Primus as their 55 champion, which, again, no disrespect to him. He did what he was supposed to do, but nobody knows about Brett Primus. He'll have to probably fight Chandler again in a rematch. That'll set up some sort of a trilogy. So, Benson will kind of work his way back in. I don't know if Thompson has gas left in his tank. Featherweight was an active division for them back in the day, and maybe they can...
They carried the torch.
Yeah, maybe they can still do something there, but there's just so many holes. Fill them, for crying out loud. Every time I see this announcement, like, we just signed some Russian. She's 6-2. She's going to fight in the flyweight division. I'm like, I file it under who gives a shit? Tell me about Mitrione or Lashley or these big dudes that I think can draw ratings.
It hurt. It hurt bad with Aaron Pico, right? Because that's the name that we heard over and over. Just wait till this guy.
And now they got
up.
Fortune.
That didn't
he's legit. Fortune's brother just signed. So prospects are coming up. Free agent signings are taking place. Good stuff's happening with Bellator. But that one seems to me to be such an easy fix. Just grab 2 big motherfuckers and have them fight for the title, and then throw a belt on them. That's it. What's the problem? What am I missing?
Man, I don't think I can pick any better names than you guys did, so I won't try to do that. But as you're talking, and, we might have different opinions here, but to play devil's advocate, I think the real winners, I don't know be the real champions, but the real winners are these Russians, are these regional talents who can use these big name pairings to make it. Now, are all of them doing it, whether it's through their performances, much less their speaking or promos? Not exactly, but the opportunity is there, and then it relates to this week's UFC Rotterdam card. Volkov on the top of the card was one of those guys who established himself, who used some big names, and maybe he fell to some of them like Chet Congo, but he got to the finals of the Bellator twice. And you look at a guy like Maribek Taisimov, who's just getting lost in the shuffle in the deepest division, 155. That guy's. We have to hear about how he's an animal and how he's this and that, but these visa issues and other things. I keep slipping over here. Visa issues and like other things that have gotten in his way with matchmaking. It just leaves us frustrated because he's facing who's this guy he's facing? And he just gets lost in the shuffle. So there's a lot of opportunity here for these Bellator guys if they really want to get things done.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Taisimov, who fights for the UFC at 170.
155 he fights for the UFC. But yeah, he might have done one fight at 170 his first one.
Yeah, he's legit.
But yeah,
Minus
again,
260 this weekend, and I'm going to use him to fill in one of my parlays. Kabalov's on the card too. But as far as Bellator, as Dan was talking, I started thinking, they've had some good luck, but Chandler losing the way he did was bad luck. What is so funny, guys?
Him slipping, sorry.
Do you have lotion on your hand?
You're on roller skates?
Do you have lotion? I put on lotion this morning, and I've been slipping because of the lotion on my arms.
Maybe that's it for me too. Yeah, the dry Hawaiian skin. I got to go extra with the. Now I'm not going to say that because now Go's going to laugh even harder.
So I was saying, Benson Henderson, he lost his first fight versus Korshkov, right?
Yeah.
So that splash didn't work. Primus losing, that sucked. Aaron Pico losing. Oh, that kind of sucked.
Lorenz Larkin.
Stripping Minikov, yeah. Lorenz Larkin, but at the same time, I was going to mention that, but Lima's kind of become a force with his wins of Daly and Korshkov and Larkin. But, yeah, I hear you, a signing that didn't go right. Davis and Bader was a wash because they still have I still think they have a few years ahead of us, or ahead of them. That's David there chilling. Sorry, but then like I said, it seems like Karatanov was also, they considered it a pretty good signing. That fell through. Fedor, they'll never say it because I think they like Mitrione, but I think they were like, come on, Fedor, when that fight first started.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So
Matt knew that.
Like, some things are just going down that maybe have really thrown a wrench in their plans. David, I don't even know where you started, but I'll tell you what, you earned yourself a spot for these gloves, Canelo versus Triple G. Tell me the round, tell me who you want, and we'll put your name down for being such a trooper.
Right now, only one spot's taken, right? And
right.
I believe that is Triple G by a 12-round decision.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for Aaron from Texas and Jim from Long Beach to call. They can claim their spots if they call in. Otherwise, I think we're just going to start mowing through, and people can pick their spots.
Go ahead.
Triple G, 9th round, TKO.
GGG9. Okay, you got it. You're in, David.
Awesome.
All right, thanks for the call.
And can I ask a second question quick?
Sure, yeah.
So I read that Nick Diaz's boxing coach wants him to be paid 20 to 30 mil for the trilogy. So considering what you guys think will be how many pay-per-views that trilogy would sell and how much the UFC will pull in, how much do you think realistically that Conor and Nate can expect to be paid for that trilogy card?
Not that.
Yeah,
the
that's
UFC's not going to make any money.
That's a ridiculous number.
That's not.
He did
their,
the equivalent
game plan.
of going to Giselle Bundchen and saying, "Leave Tom Brady and sleep with me." I mean, something so far out. The odds are so astronomical that they're not going to happen. I don't know why he picked 20 or 30. That's just not realistic. That's kind of what we're talking about. What Conor should make. I know they're 1-1, but Conor's the draw. I think if he got paid 2 in the last one, 5 maybe would have been a good start. But if you want to go big just so that they can talk you down, okay, 10, 20, 30?
It's not even close.
That's crazy,
We're
man.
giving
That's
away
crazy
a glove.
talk.
David has a chance to win a glove. It'd be like if David said, instead of the glove, why don't you fly Canelo and Triple G to my house? Does
right.
that sound
Let
cool?
them fight
That's
in my
how crazy
living
it
room.
is.
Exactly. All right, David. Good call, man. Thanks. You got Triple G round 9. Kevin from Houston, pick a round and who do you want? I'm going to enter you in the contest. Round 8, Triple G. All right, Kevin from Houston.
No Canelo love in this fight, huh? I think they've all been Triple G.
So he's got Triple G round 8. You said, right? All right. Now the next call is Dan from Oregon. What's up, Dan? How you doing?
All right, man. I got Canelo round 12.
How about you, Dan? What round do you want?
Happy Friday, man. You guys excited?
All right. I like Dan. All right, fuck it. Dan, what round do you want? Do it.
I got Canelo, man. And decision. It goes all the way.
Canelo decision. Ooh, that's a pretty decent move
that's
by
a nice
him.
gift.
Yeah, all right.
He's younger, man. He's a little bit smaller, but I was watching the countdown, and I don't know. Triple G's a better talker. I'll give him that much. I kind of enjoyed how they're going with the old school kind of element as far as promoting this. That was pretty cool. I
think he's the smoother talker, but Canelo's kind of gangster when he.
Well, he's got his line that his familiar lines that he always go to. His real popular one is, "Hey, when are you gonna fight Triple G?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm Mexican, I'm a warrior, but I'll tell you what, if he wants to, I'll lace up these gloves and we can do it right now." And then the whole crowd goes nuts. It's actually genius.
Yeah.
But he's done it a few times, so we're like, "Bitch, you said that last time."
Both pretty cold-blooded when it comes to it. Man, I don't want to be all negative and bring it up, but American Red Cross, there are articles out there on NPR and CNN about the earthquake in Haiti. They raised $500 million, and they built 6 permanent homes for these people. Go look it up. I don't know if that's the best organization to be donating your money to. Just a disclaimer out there for everybody. How come we're not talking about the crappy judging in Vegas? Like, how is this not like our conversation that we're pulling out of this and how we can improve the judging?
Okay, are you talking about Mayweather McGregor?
Yeah.
All right.
We fight in Vegas. They got the same judges at these MMA matches that they do the boxing.
No, but in this case, those were mostly boxing-based judges. But I know what you're getting at. It's actually a good question. I think I have a good answer for you. And a lot of it has to do with our friend Angelo Reyes, who was schooling me a little bit on the rules of boxing when we were kind of looking at replays and stuff. And I think what a lot of people were getting confused was that rat-a-tat-tat, boom, 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 that punch count that you're seeing. A lot of those aren't under boxing rules and under what judges score. They're looking at it and they're going, "That's nice, but I'm not scoring it." Okay. So a lot of what looked like activity from McGregor, where he was touching Mayweather, but it was more of a feel or a parry or whatever. It wasn't counting, and so when you go back and look at the rounds, now they become closer. And again, I don't know if it's hometown guy or just effectiveness from Mayweather, the style and the velocity of how Mayweather throws his punches. they just become more convincing. So I heard that from Angelo, and honestly, for me, again, after seeing it, I thought, okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
It does make
So
a little.
a lot of those scores just came off. You know,
I absolutely understand, but on the flip side, Floyd just wasn't doing anything.
Correct.
So it should have.
His count was not high.
Outset. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it just didn't do much.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they. I don't know. I don't think it was negative in terms of what they were doing. I don't think their pendulum was moving, but maybe it helps some people understand just a little bit.
I think the potential robbery that was about to happen should be more of a talking point coming out of this. But, man, I remember we were talking way back when New York kind of just came into the fold, and we had that 205 card, and it was super stacked compared to, like, UFC 200 was almost as good. And we were talking, you guys were talking about, you'll still be all right there in Vegas. They're not going to steal all the big cards, and New York will get some, but Vegas will still have the big fights. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling right now, man? Because look at 216. Like, what's the status of that?
Well, they were trying for Max and Edgar. They were trying for Kane and Verdum. Kane and Stipe. So I think what we also meant was we'll still get our fair share of big fights, but we just wanted to keep our events. Now, you're right. We used to be New Year's or end of the year. It's the same thing, depending on when it fell on the calendar. We used to be a staple on Super Bowl. That one's been forgotten about. Memorial Day. That one's gone away the last couple of years. We did get a fight night here at Mandalay Bay the day after, or on a Sunday rather than Saturday. We always have International Fight Week, but the last two have had enormous letdowns. First with Nunes pulling out on fight day, and then the Jones debacle from a few years ago, or 2 years ago. Labor Day wasn't as consistent, but it popped in. However, we do get the October card, a November card that sometimes seems to, I guess, take the place of that one. So what used to be for sure 5 has kind of become 3.5, 1 year 4, 1 year 3, so maybe 3.5. It has hurt us there. Dan, if you're getting at the quality of the card, that's an even better point. But it's not from their lack of trying. Right.
They've tried.
It was going to be Garbrandt and Dillashaw. It was going to be Lawler and Cerrone. That got moved to 214. They also had penciled in roughly back in March GSP versus Bisping. Mm-hmm. So attempts were made. It's just fights fell through, injuries happened, people woke up feeling sick, whatever, and it's just not working out. New York has had some good stuff, though. I'll give it up. So there you go, Dan. Enough out of your pie hole. Let's go to the next person, Dean from Georgia. What's up, Dean?
Gentlemen, how's it going? Now you got the G's and the D's. It's either a porn star or a damn STD, you guys, the Junkie Radio team.
Why is Dan a porn star?
No, you got the Dan and the George and the Goes. So you got the G's and the D's. So it's either, they're busty.
You're thinking about VD or what do you mean D's and G's? Oh, busty. Okay, I got you.
I just heard double D something.
Yeah.
Dan. So Dan squared.
Hey,
Dean, you're a professor, right? Yeah, put yourself in some sort of a detention for a while.
I'm dumb, right? I'm dumb.
Yeah. Start over. All right.
No, I'm a dumb guy, right?
All right, just start it all over. We'll start over. All right. We have Dean from Georgia on the line.
What's up, Dean? How you doing?
Gentlemen, what's going on? Dan,
much,
welcome.
man.
I'm glad you got hired.
Right. Hey, what's up, Dean? Thank you.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to stunt on myself because I'm dumb. I didn't go watch the fight because from the very beginning I was against it. And then when I got just tired of hearing people like the just be even probably below casual fan just talking about it. It was just like, I can't see myself going to a place and be surrounded by so many like non-combative sports fans and just listen to their thing like, oh, you see, they need to throw a looping jab. I'm like, there's no such thing. So I was just like, no, I'm not gonna. I didn't go. I regret it. Actually, I should have went and just watched a lot of the undercard. Gervonta Davis, and I definitely wanted to see him fight. There's an upcoming, and I agree that boxing is on the rise. There's a fight that's happening in December of the Human Matrix, Lomachenko's fight in Palermo, and that's going to be an awesome fight. And then I know Gervonta Davis is trying to put himself in line that if Lomachenko wins, that he's going to try to fight Lomachenko next. That's exciting.
There you have it. All right. What did you do instead of watching the fight?
One of our friends hung out, had a good time. Just didn't go to the had the card game stuff. We could have had like a fight party thing, but no one else was interested. There were just barely a couple of people there. Like, I'm not spending 100. I was like, I'll chip in like 30, and they went for it. So
okay.
One name you missed, Gigi, as far as Bellator, and hopefully he doesn't, have a slump too. Is Musasi's now in the middleweight division? I know you always down the middleweight division.
Yeah, you're right.
But now you have a fight between Musasi and their old champ, the Russian, that's coming up in the headline of their cards within the next couple of months. So, and I'm hoping that Musasi wins, and then our boy Junkie King Mo sees a path that he could go down, even though he has a path through any of the divisions, but he could even have a path to the middleweight division since he's already beat Musasi back in Strikeforce days.
True that. Good stuff, Dean.
All right.
All right, buddy.
You guys have a happy holiday.
You too,
Dean.
See ya.
Look at the sign. Beat it, nerd.
One more. Marco in Waco, Texas. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco, ¿qué pasa, gatos and Dan?
What's up, man?
What's up, Marco?
That's how you do it. That's how you do it, Dean. Just go directly to the host. On the case of Bellator, man, don't I keep telling you that there's something interesting in Bellator? So why do they have them? Because, of all the champions, the only one that we really know is Vader. All the other ones were like, meh, who cares? Meh.
I do like Dantas. He's been putting work in for a few years. I think he's a good fighter. I don't know how he would do in the UFC. I always felt like him, Fernandez over at 1, and Moraes could come over and just have great careers. Of course, Moraes came up a little bit short, but against one of the good UFC fighters in Asansao. But I'm curious to see how Dantas would do if he were to come over. But I understand what you're saying, Marco.
Yeah, like you just made the point. You got Musasi coming in. Why don't you put him to immediately fight for the championship instead of fighting Shlemenko? If you want recognizable figures, why did they put Rory McDonald to immediately fight Lima?
Yeah.
They're looking for marquee fights, so they don't mean anything. On freaking Mr. Nate Diaz, he's been making a lot of news lately, demanding 20, 30 millions. I think they offered him $5 million to show plus pay-per-views. That's just my opinion. That would be like the starting point.
For Nate Diaz?
I think that will make sense.
How much?
$5 million to show.
$5 million to show, yeah. And for McGregor, how much?
15 to show plus pay-per-view. So he'll
interesting. I'm not hating that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then he. The thing that made me laugh a lot is like they got this or tweet or whatever that McGregor said the only way I fight Diaz is he comes down to 155, and a lot of people like we on the bubble are like, but we know that Nate Diaz has fought at 155 before. People, he's not talking to us, man. We in the bubble, we know that Diaz has fought at 155. He's talking to the casuals, to those donks up there that don't have any idea that Nate Diaz has fought at 155 before. They only see him fight at 170. That's going to be the narrative. Oh, Nate Diaz has to make the way to fight McGregor, and you're starting to sell the fight already. That is what he's doing. So people, don't be stupid. Read the tea leaves.
So when people, Marco, when people react that way, it makes you laugh?
It makes me freaking laugh.
You know what made us freaking laugh yesterday?
What?
When Paraguay stomped Chile 3-0 in the South American qualifier. Did that make you laugh, by the way?
I didn't want to talk about that. But you have to keep me on the walls like that, man.
To be fair, the weather was pretty bad over there. I have the weather report if you guys want to hear
Let's hear it.
I'm no meteorologist, but I'm pretty sure it's raining bitches.
Oh, my goodness.
That is low, man.
All right, my man.
At least let me take the run on the fighter for this Canelo thing.
All right, we'll give you that. What round do you want?
I want Canelo 8 round KO TKO.
Canelo. Wait. Oh, 8 round. Okay. Canelo 8 for Marco from Waco. You got it, buddy. Have a nice weekend.
Peace out, bud.
All right. See ya.
Damn, he went against you.
I wanted to make sure. I want to make sure that wasn't because Kevin had said round 8 as well. So he basically said that guy in Houston, he sounds pretty cool, but he knows shit about boxing because he got the round right, but he didn't get the fighter right. So a little bit of Texas friction there. Marco from Waco, Kevin from Houston visiting us here in studio. Shout out to him. And shout out to everybody in Houston that's affected by this hurricane / tropical storm / flooding. Really, really devastating that area. But from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of promise on the rebuild because a lot of help is already there. A lot of help is already on the way. And we may joke about it, but Texas people are strong people, man. So stay positive, folks. And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Oh, he's that big of a fan? Scottie Pippen shut down Magic. I'll give him that.
I thought you said 10 seconds.
30.
No.
I said 30 seconds.
Right, we're on. Don't say anything dumb. Even though we just spent the last 5 minutes talking about dumb stuff.
Yeah. All right, come back. Stand by.
They can drink Mentos flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Hey, are we allowed to talk about what we were talking about in the break? Danny?
I mean, yeah, I guess
right,
I just
I have a question.
Wouldn't use...
How in the hell did you guys even have an interview process? If that girl would have walked in, I would have said, "You're in." I don't care what. She could have had like a pet cougar or something. I would have been like, just make sure it's locked up, but you're in.
Dude, if she had a pet cougar, she jumps to the top of the list no matter what.
Did you have some yahoos apply for the other?
Yeah, it was a really weird assortment of people that we had to filter through. And I mean, we started on Craigslist for roommates, and I don't know if you've ever done anything on Craigslist, but there are so many crazy people that are just waiting to post and reply to something else on Craigslist. We had some people that would contact us and not even give us their name or anything like that. They would just say, I
don't like that site.
Craigslist?
I know there's people that have
many bad
had successes with it, but I feel like if I log on, I might as well just leave the door open to my house. Like, I'm basically saying, hack me, rob me, assault me, stalk me. I don't know. I might be wrong again. There may be others that run businesses through them or have had successes or met, or maybe there's someone that's just sticking every night, supermodels, hats off to that guy, whatever. I don't know. But to me, it just seems like you really have to be on your toes. And,
yeah. The
you know
one
what
that
I mean?
bugs me is Angie's List. Because she basically said, Craig,
Yeah, right.
I'm Angie. That's all she gave us.
But I think she's more specific to just dating, though, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, what is
Isn't
she?
it the same
Angie's
thing?
Angie's List is only businesses. Craigslist is like
Weirdos.
basically like a trade market. Like anything there you can trade and stuff like that.
But
it's
big, and you get a quick reaction, because when I put up, I think it was the Pet Shop Boys or when I got caught in that whole ticket stuff last year,
Yeah.
I put something up, I hit enter, and I got a text right away. What are you thinking? I'm like, what am I thinking? Like, who's this? You know, like I thought it was like a buddy that changed their number. Yeah, the tickets. I'm like, fuck, like that was quick.
It's always weird, weird responses too. It wasn't like, hey, I saw your ad on Craigslist for the tickets. It wasn't anything like that. So we would get like weird stuff like that for people wanting the room. It wouldn't be like, hey, I saw your ad. It would just be like a random number and I want to rent the room.
I don't know
It
where
would be
this girl
nothing else.
lived before, but I promise you, when she left that house, she said, I'll be right back. This is a lock. Just start packing my shit.
And then that shenanigan with the ex, and
I told you that.
that
yeah,
got
that's
shut
probably
down
exactly
quick.
what happened.
Thanks for helping me move. Laters.
Hey guys, my buddy got a roommates through Craigslist. One had a one leg and one had a parrot. Not the same guy.
Oh, I was going to say that'd be amazing.
Pirate, right?
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Are you sure it wasn't the same?
Yeah, no, they were two different. I went over like twice. I was like, this is random. He's like, yeah, Craigslist roommates, what you get?
Are you sure?
Congrats to Dan Tom. He was published this morning on on MMA Junkie, and basically it's is it to the T, Dan? Like your long form? How did you and Dan work on what you're going to offer the editorial side? What is it? Because I've yet to click that, so I imagine that's your breakdown of Rotterdam.
Yeah, essentially we kept the same format. We're I mean, you know, it's the first week, you know, so there may be a tweak here or there, maybe on the next week or so. But essentially, if you've been following my work at mixedmartialanalyst.com and come to love those breakdowns, well, now you're going to get them at Junkie. So we're doing our best to keep the quality, if not just the same, but even better. So keep a lookout for that for sure. And I appreciate it, guys. It's kind of crazy just looking at this. I was telling you, George, is like looking at this site for how long now, and now all of a sudden my name's up there for some reason. But I appreciate you guys making some room for me and my content. So,
of course, you earned it, man. And Junkie Nation, I beg of you, please, if you see the article, share it, tweet it. Let's get Dan off to a great start. Put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter. Let people know about him. He's very detailed. He puts a lot of work into it. I think that's one of the things that made it an attractive hire, not just on the radio side, but Dan really respected his work, the work that he puts in. He really does go over all the details with a fine-tooth comb. T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and the prediction is usually right, but if it isn't, the fight usually goes in the way that he told you it would. It's impossible to go.
You can make a great breakdown and still be wrong.
Exactly.
You really can.
It's impossible to just basically call them all right, because that's why this game is so wacky and crazy the way it is.
Hey, when you're done looking at Dan Tom's story, though, we do ask that you click right next to it. You'll see the MMA Junkie collection. A lot of cool shirts there. Dan's actually wearing one right now. Like that.
The 10-year anniversary shirt.
Order a shirt. Support the show. Support the website. Have our backs.
This is a skin that's right outside of, the page that you see here in the middle with all the infos. The info from this story, but all the links to all the other tabs at the top. In fact, can you show us the tabs at the top, Chris?
Yeah, man.
So on the side is the skin, and if you click the skin, it'll take you to ordering these shirts that were made, and they allowed Goz and I to be a part of that, kind of like use our limited design skills. At the top is the news. If you just want straight news, a page full of news, it's at the top. It's in in the timeline of what do you call it? Sequential. It's freshest to outdated, and you can just scroll through it. The rumors tab has all of the cards with the info as far as like what time does the card start, what city exactly are they in, what arena, who's the main event, who's the co-main event, what channel are they on. Events is the same thing except events that have already taken place. And then there's a little bit of a feature on the fighters, the rankings, the videos, all of our social media at the top. So don't ignore those tabs. They can really, really be helpful, especially rumors and events when you're looking to see, if you're doing a little bit of gambling a night of and you want to see where you should,
Fantasy
get your money in or whatever. Underneath more is the link to our page, radio, where you can have access to all the other radio shows that we've done in the past. Those are also available on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook. It's everywhere. SiriusXM app. So there's really no excuse for you not to be involved somehow.
No excuse.
All right, so we filled in looks like we have about 6 or 7 of these spots for the glove that you can see in front of Goz, signed by Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. The winner will be decided on the night of the fight. We'll ship it out to whoever gets the winner right and the round, unless you choose decision. Although decisions have already been taken. It looks like we have Canelo decision, Dan from Oregon, and Triple G decision, Tony from San Francisco. I'll have to fill in a few of the others there. But come Monday, I think there'll be about 20 spots, and we'll get really aggressive with it. Unless over the weekend I see something that's got a lot of flavor, something that's colorful and creative on our social media page, facebook.com/MMA Junkie Radio, or on Twitter. Tag us at MMA Junkie Radio as well. My handle's at MMA Junkie George. That's at the Goz, and that's Dan Tom MMA. He's no longer the MMA analyst, or the analyst, or the anal.
Well, definitely no. Yeah.
The anal cyst.
I mean, that
anal cyst, whatever that broke down to.
Hey, I'm going to give you guys a little tip here. Once these late rounds start getting taken away,
yeah,
before you take a chance on round 2, 3, 4, go with the draw. I think you'd have a better shot there, because this fight's going to play out in the later rounds. Not much is going to happen early. If you're going to take a chance at that point, take a chance on that draw.
Yeah.
If you've got your tinfoil hats on, the draw is much more secure for a rematch. Another fight happening than a winner. What? Man. Controversial decisions? This never happened in boxing.
I'm waiting for Gabe from LA to call in, because he's always right. So he can give the winner and the round, and basically everyone else can just rip up their tickets. 866-522-2846. He was boasting about some hits on Mayweather McGregor, which
I didn't see
he
that.
joins most of the world in picking Mayweather.
Okay.
But he did hit round 10.
Nice. Nice.
My buddy Matt hit round 10. The only problem, well, a friend of mine hit round 10. The only problem is, too late now, huh? The only problem is he sent me up there with basically a lot of rounds covered, so I know how this fucking works, this whole gaming game. Shout out to the UFC Trojans. They take on Western Michigan. And before you all laugh, they are 27-point favorites. Western Michigan last year was a ranked team. They were good, but they lost their quarterback and a few players. So I don't know if they'll be as good this year as last year. But when they basically added them to the schedule last year, it looked like a strong team to start off the season. But they are 27-point favorites. But I believe they have the best quarterback in the nation in Sam Darnold, right, is his name?
Yeah, you know what the
from
problem
San Clemente.
is? He's starting to talk about leaving early, though.
Yeah, but guess what? We have a guy named Jack Sears behind him, and then J.T. Daniels from Mater Dei High School has also committed to USC in like the class of 19. He's only like a sophomore or some shit. Speaking of Mater Dei, Mater Dei is the #1 team in the country. They will be hosting Bishop Gorman, the #3 team in the country, at Santa Ana Stadium in Santa Ana, California. So this could be a huge win for the Mater Dei Monarchs.
Wait, they're playing at the Bowl?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they play at Anaheim?
I don't know. I guess maybe the Angels are in town, or you're right.
Oh wow, that's a big deal. Like when De La Salle would come, that's where they would have it.
Yeah, but those were usually later in the season when baseball season was over. I don't know. 10,000. Bishop Gorman hasn't lost since 2010. They have a 55 or 53 game winning streak. Does that sound about right? Don't they play 10 games a year?
I didn't know that they had that long of a streak. I thought they lost somewhere.
No, it's like 55, 53 in a row.
Wow.
And I thought it said the last loss was 2000.
These are two top schools. And
they had but usually play like 12 games a year. That should only be a 48.
They have, I know the top 2 recruiting classes as well, right?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean.
Our guys, where they're going?
Huh?
So, good luck to the Mater Dei Monarchs. That's my high school. A powerhouse over on the West Coast. Man, now as I talk about it, I wish I was going to the game.
You should have gone.
A few of my buddies are going to the game. I could still leave. I could still peel out of here and make it in time, but
sounds like something someone crazy would do.
I'm pretty sure tickets are sold out. And I'll send Gabe, my buddy Gabe, a quick text and go, what are you hearing? Are you hearing the tickets are sold out? Because I could make a couple other stops while I'm out there. But
hey, man, I mean, I think we got offered tickets to Mayweather-McGregor twice. You're on the hook for Canelo. I'm pretty sure you could get a ticket to Eddie Westfield for Mater Dei Bishop Gorman.
I could imagine Gigi on the field after, like dazed and confused, reliving his high school memories, reliving his buddies.
Probably watch it from Abel's house. He lives around there.
Tear down the goalposts.
There you go.
866-522-2846. But first, let's get this last commercial out of the way. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on this week. On today's show, we'll go over our final predictions. Maybe if anybody has a parlayed offer up, I think we can put one together between us three. Maybe a 3-teamer at this weekend's UFC Fight Night 15 card, Rotterdam, Netherlands. Have some fun with it. All right, folks, we'll be right back.
They taught Andy Griffith how to whistle. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
You wouldn't say, all right.
I would say it sarcastically like that. Like that?
You know you'd kick something. What the fuck?
I'd be like, okay.
I'll tell you my three-teamer here in just a second, but let's talk to Ben from New Zealand. What's up, Ben? How you been?
Yeah, I've been sweet, Gigi. You know, I was watching Peru versus Bolivia yesterday, and how the hell did you like those 3 crazy goals in that game?
They were, and the craziest thing about it is Bolivia's might have been the nicest just because you'll rarely see something like it, but the second Peruvian one, where he was across the middle, I mean, that was a laser, dude, and I just kept seeing the replay and seeing their goalie fly in the air.
The one I can't stop thinking about is the one that should have happened at the end of the game, where the Bolivian was right in front of the goal and blasted it.
Oh, that's right. I can't believe we really haven't talked about it. We really dodged the bullet
It almost made the game not even feel good.
That really could have been a crushing blow. Of course, they have a few more games left. I think Ecuador, Argentina, and Colombia on the docket. The first 2 away, the last one at home. But if they make it to the World Cup, they'll look back, because I know those 2 points would have made a difference. They'll look back and go, wow, that guy's whiff is basically what allowed us to be in here. But they still have some tough games ahead of them. All 3 that I mentioned are in the 20s as far as their points are concerned, and definitely Colombia and Argentina already have places as long as they keep winning. Sorry, all right, off the rails here. Thanks for bringing it up, though, Ben.
Well, good. I was really just ringing up to ask if we haven't had Daniel Cormier on the show. Your old buddy, old pal, friend of the show since the big 205 Division news broke a week or so ago. Have you guys reached out to him?
Yeah, he was on a vacation with his family, but he should be back now. So now would probably be a good time to reach out to him.
Yeah, get him, because, I mean, it's pretty huge, and it was, really, I mean, anyone who's a fan of him and, a fan of the show, he's pretty much a junkie, and so seeing how heartbroken he was after the fight, I mean, it was a big deal, and then for this to happen, I mean, what the hell?
We were letting them enjoy my homeland, Ben, of Hawaii. You know, DC's over there relaxing, eating some good food, but no, I hear you, brother. I'm sure. It's loco moco, I heard him say, which is, gravy, eggs, hamburger, and rice, just fat carbs and protein, pretty much what I grew up on. God. Sorry to get sidetracked on food there, hijack.
You been to Hawaii, Ben?
I have not been to Hawaii. It's not exactly in our backyard, but it's not far. So maybe I should get there.
Well,
one day.
the reason I ask is
in the Wakahama canoe, but I haven't been yet.
The reason I ask is a lot of people that come to North America, especially from Japan mostly, there's this stop in Hawaii that a lot of flights make. So I was wondering if you had ever been, if you in your travels had ever just happened to go through Hawaii.
No, I've been slacking on that one. One day.
All right. Who do you got this weekend, Struve or Volkov?
I think I got Volkov, man. I mean, I have to be honest, I'm not getting super pumped up about it. I'm really looking forward to the fight the next week. And Struve is just such a worry, with his health. He's almost one of those fighters. There's certain fighters that almost aren't really fun to watch anymore because you just watch them with, gritted teeth and maybe through your fingers. Because, Bigfoot Silver's the same, just because of how much they've taken, and Struve being so young and all his, his other health problems with heart and whatever. So I'm not really even looking forward to seeing it in some ways, and I think Volkov is going to do it.
All right, cool. Well, I got my parlay. You got your pen and paper ready? You want to hear it?
I want to hear it more than anything in the world, brother.
I thought this was going to be the Voltron parlay.
Okay. What's yours?
I'd like to throw Marion Renault out there as my lock.
I agree with that.
Dan?
She would have been one of mine, so I'll give the other that I feel good about. I don't think he's listed on that sheet, but Magomed Shapirov. He's a little heavier, but he's one of the more. If you have a house that carries him on the prelims, he's up to minus 440 now. A little high for my liking, but.
You're really going out on a limb there, huh?
Hey, just for a favorite leg.
You don't want to take USC on the money line against Western Michigan or anything?
We'll throw the dog in there. We'll get this one spicy.
No, don't feel peer pressured.
No.
If you want to go with him, that's fine.
Stefan Struve's my official pick, and I feel pretty good. Although I will say, if you're in a house that takes the over line for a parlay piece, I suggest using the over 1.5 because I think Struve Volkov, no matter who wins, it's going over 1.5. Volkov's a pretty safe fighter, especially since he's got to the UFC, takes a round to feel, and will kind of circle and stuff. So I think that over at minus 170 or minus 175 now, depending where you're looking, a lot of houses will take that in just for you degenerates out there.
Mm-hmm. All right, and my pick is. Well, I just gave Dan a hard time about a big favorite. I really like Tazimov. I've just been over Felipe Silva. He's about minus 265, minus 275. But I'll tell you what, fuck it. I'll go with Vinny Barbarino.
Oh, Brian Barb.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna roll with him because that's what it'll really. See, Goes took Renault.
Mm-hmm.
What are her odds?
Now you know.
Do you have current Renault odds? Yeah, minus 305. Dan.
Yeah, but I called mine a lock.
Yeah, that's that. I guess that was the angle.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck these guys. All right, if you're taking Magomedov Shapirov, and Goes is taking Renault, then I'm just gonna take Tazimov. In fact, mine's the most underdog of them all.
All right, if one of us loses, they got to pay for Chipotle on Monday.
Okay, let's see what that does. I'm willing to swap out.
Yeah, do it. What does it pay?
I'm throwing.
How you been, Ben? By the way,
big money down there. All right, if
Ben didn't give
it's okay. Well, if we parlay these, it comes out to
even money, a little bit over money,
just even money, just over even money. Like for example, $3 would get you $3.76 if you're betting big money like Dan Tom.
So let's just do it. We'll do it. All right.
All right, bet is placed.
All right, Ben. Ben, thanks for the call. Always great to hear from you, and please call in more often.
I just text Daniel Cormier, and I said Ben from New Zealand just called into our show, and I probably fudged this, but it sounds pretty good, at 3 a.m. his time, just to ask if you would be on our show. So let's see
what did Daniel Cormier say?
Or it just happened.
Oh, okay. All right, Ben, we'll give you the credit if we land the Cormier interview. Thanks for calling in, mate. Oh, they don't say mate in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, we say mate.
Oh, you do?
We say mate, bro.
Somebody scolded me. I don't know if it was South Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Somebody said, we really don't use that much. I go, okay. Been on my toes since then. Cheers, mate. Take care. All right, folks. I want to thank our guests for the week. Colby Covington, Fernando Gonzalez, Cynthia Calvillo, James Laurinaitis, Ovin St. Preux, and Abel Sanchez. Dan, great to have you here with us. This is week 2, more on camera this week than last week. Last week was a whirlwind, but congrats on, again, the hire and you making it on that front page, getting published. So cool to see that.
I'm still blown away. All I can say for now is thank you. Genuinely thank you, all you guys and all you listeners out there.
Have a nice Labor Day weekend, everybody, with family and friends. Stay safe. Stay off those roads. If you've been boozing, enjoy some barbecue or whatever it is that you do in observance of Labor Day. Again, Houston people, we're thinking of you. Stay strong. We have faith that things will be back stronger than ever. Keep it locked on MMA Junkie throughout the weekend. We have our buddy Abby out there, and he'll be running the show in Rotterdam, Netherlands, where Stefan Struve and Alexander Volkov mix it up in the main event. Folks, we're out of here. Thanks, Kevin, for stopping by. Thanks to everybody that called in during the week and is participating in the contest. It's all a blast, man. We'll be here on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So until then, be champions.
You'll never be the same again.